Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Wanted to do a quick little morning show for you guys and gals. Had a little bit of time before the light makes me put up Christmas decorations. It's going to be one of those days. You probably hear the voice a little weak, still battling the symptoms, but we're hopefully coming out the other side, although there's no hearing in this right ear. So if I sound even more redneck than normal, you understand why. We'll use that as an excuse anyway. But the reason, if you've seen the title of this video, you've seen the thumbnail, the whole point of this video was to address the whole John Kuhn conversation on X. So you guys know on X, it's kind of hard to have a conversation. The best way to do so is just direct message, obviously. And anytime someone quote tweets you, the writing's on the wall. If someone quote tweets you, they're basically saying, all my followers, come get involved with this, right? And we were having a conversation about the Josh Jacobs play. Some people aren't even on X. You're just watching on YouTube and you're going, what the hell are you talking about, Clay? So you guys know we do Chalk Talk every week, right? And the goal of Chalk Talk isn't, I've said this 1,000 times, and it probably still doesn't come across this way. Hopefully it does. But the purpose of Chalk Talk isn't to show how smart anybody is. It's an opportunity for all of us to come together as fans. I try to pick out what I think are the most important plays. And we always ask in the comments, hey, if you got another play that you thought was important, throw it in the comments and we'll chat about it later or what have you. We'll have a conversation in the comments about it. But the goal is to try to pick out the 10 most important plays that decided the previous game, right? Most of the time, it's kind of a running joke here with the guys. I'll say 10, I end up with 15 or 19 or 20, right? So anyway, the purpose is to dive into the tape and try to understand what happened and why did it happen. You guys know we open up every show and we do this purposefully, saying we're not experts, we're not insiders, we're not media members, we're fans just like you talking Packers. Okay. I say that because I don't ever want to come across like I've got all the answers. Lord knows I don't. Everybody knows. Anybody who watches the show regularly knows I ain't got the answers. We get corrected in the comments all the time. Hopefully you've heard me say a time or 12, hey, got that one wrong. Or, hey, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I think I did look at that the wrong way. It's another reason why during Chalk Talk, I like having multiple people on the stream with me, whether it's Tim, Emilio, Jacob, whoever. So I can go, are y'all seeing that the same way? Because people make mistakes, right? We screw up all the time. And I am not a football guru genius by no stretch of the imagination. I've been watching the game for a long time and trying to understand it. We get complimented a lot that, hey, man, you guys have taught me more about the game than anyone else I've watched in a long time. And that's a great compliment. But I always come back and make a joke and say, boy, if we're teaching the most you're taught, you've never had a true, football mind probably teaching you, because that's not what we are, right? So again, that's kind of the gist of who we are, right? The weekly film study, all that. We've got 3 college coaches that follow the channel. 3 college coaches that I like to bounce ideas off of. I like to go back and go, hey, what did you guys see here? What did you see there? In this situation, I didn't bounce this off any of the coaches because Josh Jacobs made a comment about this specific play, right? I took Josh Jacobs' comments after the game. I married it up with the tape and said, okay, this looks like this was a zone left run. And he got spooked by them calling it out. That's his words. Hey, they called out where we were running, and we'll show you all that. 97 calling out, hey, they're running right here, which happens to be A to B gap left because he's playing a 2-tech on the left side from the offense's perspective. Okay. So three college coaches. We got several high school coaches as well. I like going to people like Coach Haddad and other guys and going, hey, how do you guys see this? Because your level of football knowledge is way, way higher than mine, right? So we're just trying to learn ball together. I want to say that to preface this whole situation. I see everybody asking, what happened with Kuhn? What happened with Kuhn? I'm going to show you everything that kind of happened yesterday. And I think I figured out at the end exactly what happened, and we'll kind of talk about that. But again, this in no way, shape, or form is this Clayton's going on YouTube to try to roast the NFL player. That's stupid. John, I want to say this again. John Kuhn has forgotten more about football than I will ever know. right? The conversation we had, I was simply asking him, okay, obviously I'm missing something here. Okay, so you're saying it was this type of run as opposed to that. Let's just dive into it. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. We're going to show this series of tweets here, and I want people to be honest with me in the chat, man. Like say, no, Clayton, dude, you handled it the wrong way. Listen, my wife tells me that all the time. I'm wrong way more than I'm right, and that could be the case here, right? The problem I have is when you start quote tweeting people and trying to get the masses to drag them when you're just trying to have a conversation, right? So here we go. Here was the original tweet. I said, and keep in mind, this was kind of in preference to everybody drag. Not I say everybody. It's a large minority of the fan base that were dragging Matt LaFleur, right? That this was a stupid call on 4th and 1 that you would call inside zone. I don't know what the right call would be. You could see they got a 6-man box and we got a 6-man blocking scheme here, right? So you would like your chances of Josh Jacobs to pick up a yard in this situation, right? Now, if he gets it, we're not even talking about it. And what's funny is there was a penalty too, so it really didn't even matter. But the point was, I felt like it was a good teaching point. I'll say this, not mentioning any names, from coaches who constantly talk about you ever heard the term seeing ghosts? That's a term that's used in football all the time. It's made most famous by Mike Holmgren telling Brett Favre that on the sideline, right? Hey, don't see any ghosts out there. What he's referring to is stick to the play, stick to the game plan. They're going to try to manipulate the looks. They're going to try to sugar you pre-snap and get you to think they're doing something else. Well, we've got to answer for everything in the play. Get through your progressions, read the defense out so you know exactly where to go with the ball. That's what seeing goes. So when you look at this play, it's kind of what happened. That's what the point I was making was like, man, if it was a zone left run, and I'll explain why I think it was a zone left run. And this is where me and Kuhn, obviously, we completely disagreed. And I was to the point going, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense with Josh Jacobs' footwork. But then other people started jumping in going, no, that's not what Jacobs said, though. So again, it is what it is. So here we go. I said lost in the hoopla of they knew our play is the 21 call was the perfect call. If Josh Jacobs run the play as designed, you easily pick up the first down. Great job by Sean Ryan, open the A gap left. You can't allow a defender screaming to change your assignment. Now, you're probably going, Clayton, what makes you think it's zone left? Well, the way that Sean Ryan seals off here, right? He seals off the left side. I'm going to try to get my cursor up here, right here. He's going to seal here. And you see Jordan Morgan tries to get inside leverage here, right? So go back to Josh Jacobs's comments originally. What did he say? Matter of fact, we've got the comments. I'm going to read them real quick if I can find it here. I know I had them. Actually, it's on down in the tweet here. So if we go down, I think I quote tweeted it, and we're gonna show all these in real time. Okay. Well, actually, let's get to it in real time. Okay. So the play, as you can see here, when they run it, and I went super slow motion because everything happened. So that's the other thing. In no way, shape, or form was this to go, Josh Jacobs screwed up. It was just a teaching point, a learning point for me too, to go, man, just run the play. Notice how everybody moves left here. Look at the offensive line. See how everybody kind of kicks to the offense's left, to our right from the viewpoint? I'm thinking this is zone left, right? Josh Jacobs, most of the time, it's like over 80% of the time when you're in sidecar right, you're running opposite side. That's why the pistol is so popular, is because the defense can't really keep pre-snap on which side you're running on, right? So to me, it looked like he was running left, right? Now you see Josh Jacobs immediately cuts back to the right. And what John Kuhn's saying is, no, he's reading 98's helmet. And that makes sense if it's an AA run, right? And what I mean by that is or I guess a counter. I had originally asked him, are you saying it's a counter play? Because with the counter, what Josh Jacobs would do is jab step left and counter back right. That would make sense to me. So that's what I asked John. Now you'll notice in John's tweets, he's being a little bit demeaning, okay? And listen, everybody responds differently on social media. He's probably looking at me, look at this guy who's never played a game. He's an absolute dumbass. Let me go in here and put him in his place real quick, right? He said, can someone please tell me what Josh's aiming point and read on this play? Clayton, right? So I don't know. Maybe you guys don't take it that way. I took it as a smart ass comment. So I'm like, you know what? I ain't going to argue about that. Whatever. We'll jump into it, right? I said, I'm all ears to a pro, John. Are you saying it was a counter? I assumed it was 21 based off his post-game comments. Okay, and we'll get to the comments here in a second. I think I screen grabbed them in here. Yeah, there it is right there. The post-game comments were, they called it out. We called our play. They said inside zone, it's coming right here. So I kind of like didn't want to run there. But yeah, that's just how it played out, right? So if he's saying they said inside zone, it's coming right here. So I kind of like didn't want to run right there. So we know he didn't run where the play was designed to be run. Okay. So again, go back pre-snap. Notice here, 97. 97 is who he's referring to. He's going, hey, inside zone, they're running right here. For those on the pod or anybody who can't see the visual here, he's saying he's over top of the guard right now. So I took that information that Josh Jacobs said and shared with us, which this is why coaches don't want players talking after the game, right? Because it does create kind of a hoopla, and I get it. I understand that. So I took it as he's saying inside zone here. If it's inside zone A left, if he's saying, hey, they're running right here, which makes sense the majority of the time you do run across the formation, I took it as A, B left zone, meaning you're going to target the A gap on the left, really the center, directly behind the center. And if the A gap right comes open, you could take that too. You just need a yard, right? That's the beautiful thing about zone blocking is there's not like you've got to hit this gap and this gap only, right? You can kind of take what the defense is giving you. So with all that being said, that's how I came up with it was a 21 call, meaning one gap left from the offense's perspective. 2 being the running back. That's why we call it a 21 call, right? So I say 21 zone. Some people just like to say mid zone or zone left, right? I like to specify, I think the target zone is here. And on Chalk Talk, we talk about that all the time. Pretty sure they were shooting for the A gap, but you never really know because zone is very flexible in that regard, right? It's not like a true gap scheme, if that makes sense. So again, 97 is the one calling that out. That's what I based all my information off. Josh Jacobs said they knew where we were running. He called it out. That's where they're running the football. Okay, so now let's go back to John Kuhn's comments. Can someone please tell me what Josh's aiming point is? Well, I said, I'm all ears to a pro, John. Are you saying it was a counter? I assumed it's 21 based off his post-game comments, okay, meaning to the left, right? So again, when I say counter, I never even thought, hey, it could be counter. So I was asking John, is this a counter run? But the counter run, what that is, guys, watch him. Watch Josh Jacobs. Rather than come across the formation, he's going to jab step here, bang, and then he's going to break back. That's called counter technique. That's counter footwork there, right? You're showing run one way and coming back the opposite direction. You're trying to get the defensive lineman, even the backers, to bot technically, right, from a technical standpoint, and then you can change the leverage on them. Now, Josh later said he was wrong. He should have just stuck with the play, right, is essentially what he's saying here. And again, if you roll the tape, you could see, and this is what I'm pointing out here, is that hole comes open. Now, people were saying, hey, 98's two gapping, and he is. And listen, he's playing it damn well, right? Jordan Morgan didn't have a great rep here, you know. My point was you have a better shot of getting it if you stick with that run call, right, than if you now deviate away, because these guys are also expecting you to kind of hit that gap. If that's the call, again, John Kuhn probably John Kuhn could probably shoot a text message, go, hey, what was the call there, right? So he knows way more information than me. That's why I want to continuously say that, okay? I'm not trying to be an expert here. We were simply trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So anyway, he says inside zone, you read the near tackle, Clayton. See how he keeps throwing Clayton in there? Maybe that's just me, but I take that as him being a smart ass, right? So, all right, let's just keep it zip. Former player, he knows way more than me. I'm not going to try to be a smart ass here. Which is 98? Which side is his head on when Jacobs gets the ball? That's the read. So he's saying, no, this isn't a zone left. This is just a straight mid-zone. I think what he's saying is mid-zone AA read, right? It's definitely not counter. He didn't acknowledge that, right? The blocking scheme suggests it's not a counter run. So if it is AA, he's reading it here and here, right? So John's saying 98's head, when it breaks the plane there, now Josh Jacobs knows, okay, I've got the leverage. I'm going to come back to the right. Now, obviously, we didn't have the leverage. The play gets completely blown up, right? And mainly because the tight end's getting dog walk back. See, notice this hole over here. Now, listen, when you get halfway through the play, holes are going to open that up that wasn't actually there before. Right there, it's basically going to be Josh Jacobs having to run through an arm tackle. But again, if John's right and he read this right and 98's hat was in the right spot, forcing him to cut back, then it's just they blew the play up, right? It's that simple. And John may very well be right here. That was the point I was trying to make. I was just trying to get to, okay, what are you saying? I said, so you're saying this is a two-way A-gap read. Is that correct? Right? Like he probably thinks I was setting him up like I'm trying to get him in a gotcha moment. I was genuinely asking. Okay, cool. I didn't even think about that, essentially, right? No, he's reading 98. And where is 98 in this picture? Yeah, I get that. I understand what you're saying. 98 definitely is taking that, He's showing if he is the true read and it's just an AA read as opposed to an AB left read, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, right? He did what he was coached to do. All right. I said, so when 97 pointed B gap left and said it's coming right here, Josh wasn't reacting to that. I assumed it was AB zone left. You're saying it's AA the entire time. I'm genuinely asking. I'm trying to let him know I'm not being a smartass. I'm trying to figure out what's happening. Like, what is the actual play call, right? So he comes back and says, I cannot make this any more clear. His first read is 98, and where he is, the penetration doesn't help. Once again, I cannot make this any more clear. Like, there's no acknowledgement of Josh's comments. And maybe that's where I went wrong was I should have just set the comments to the side and said, okay, John knows what they're running here. I should just shut up and listen to John, right? I took that as another smart ass comment. You see him name dropping the entire time, right? Clayton, right? And then of course this, where he says, I cannot make it any more clear. I said, LOL, cool. Hey, thanks for the input, man. That's what I said in regards to that was thanks for the input. Like, I tried to get him to answer the question a couple times. What I was planning on doing was quote tweeting my original tweet. Hey guys, John Kuhn chimed in and we got it wrong. Here it is. Here's what the play was. But he never truly answered that. All he said was he's just reading 98. He's just reading 98. He didn't address the comments. He didn't address the fact that the blocking kind of looked like it was set up to go zone left. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? Let's just flush it. Who cares, right? What's the point in arguing? This is really a petty thing to argue about, to be honest with you. Okay. So I just said, LOL, cool. Hey, thanks for the input, man. That's it. All right. So then we get to this. Let me just set this over to the side so we don't lose it here in case we have to go back to it. So this is where it gets really, really chippy. Okay. So we come back to what I said there, LOL, cool. Right. And he says, he quotes tweets that. Now, this is where I'm like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand what's going on here. He wasn't trying to have a conversation. He wasn't trying to correct anybody. He's wanting to prove, hey, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're an idiot. That's what's going on here. He says, he quote tweeted me and says, so will you add to the first post that Josh Jacobs actually didn't read this wrong? Okay, you didn't answer any of the questions. All you said was 98's the read, 98's the read, 98's the read. Not knowing if it's a true zone left or if it's an AA read, right? So this is him signaling to the masses, his however many followers, let's see here, 85,000 followers. Hey, everybody, let's pile on this dumbass. That's what that is. And listen, that's common, right? That's common on Twitter. That's kind of the thing. And that's why most of the time you don't see me do this to people unless they come at me, because I just think that's chicken shit. Just to be completely honest. Like when someone's having a conversation with you and you disagree or whatever, it's bad enough the conversation is being taken place in public. And people are going, Clayton, this is X. It's all about arguing. That's right, man. I try not to dive into that realm, right? Now, if it's opposing fans who are trolling Packer fans, I try to come to the defense of Packer fans, quote tweet them, break them over the calls, right? And if I see another person talking down to fans because they don't understand the game at a certain level, which is kind of what's going on here a little bit, but again, it is what it is. This is him signaling to his 85,000 followers, hey, everybody come pile on this dumbass here, right? So that's the way I took it, right? So what I did was rather than comment on his thread or whatever, I took it a step further. Okay, let's drop this down. And the next exchange was me quote tweeting him. Okay, we'll play the quote tweet game. Cool. I'll go along for the ride here. Why not? Listen, I'm not on here to impress people on Twitter. I'll never meet any of these people in person for the most part, right? Why do I care what these people think? So I went ahead and quote tweeted him. And I said, if I can find it here, let me drop that down real quick. Got the wrong one. So I quote tweeted him and came back and said, I said, nah, you got this. Extra engagement for you, big guy. It's obvious that's what he's wanting. You know why I know that, guys? Because we already had a conversation going. The quote tweet was his way of trying to trigger, okay, let me get some people piled on this, right? So, so will you add to the first post, blah, blah, blah. Nah, you got this. Extra engagement for you, big guy. Go ahead. I'm done. I asked you 3 times in the tweet, do you care to explain it to me, essentially? And you were smart ass. Okay, cool. I'll just let it go. Hey, man, have a good night. We're good, man. Whatever. Right. Now you got this extra engagement for you, big guy. That's how I responded. Okay. So then he comes back and quote tweets again, which I'm really baffled that he's got all this time to tweet at such a small account. It was really straight. It was really weird. To me, it was. He said, cop out. You can admit you were wrong, but you won't. Don't judge others if you cannot be judged by others. Who was I judging? Was I judging Josh Jacobs based off his own comments? And it was a point to say, hey, you guys are raking Matt LaFleur over the coals, which I heard John Kuhn talk crap about Matt LaFleur the other day. So it kind of, there's probably a little bit of that going on too. I ain't, whatever. Everybody's opinion's their opinion. Notice I didn't comment on his tweet because he didn't ask me for my opinion. That's how I kind of do social media. He said, cop out. You can admit you were wrong, but you won't. Don't judge others if you cannot be judged. Okay. So don't take other people's words and use them to try to find an answer of why a play got broke up. Got it? You know what this is? As much as players hate this is shut up and dribble. That's what this is. I played the game. Shut the hell up. Just admit you were wrong and move on. What was I wrong about? I asked you a series of 3 questions and then tried to make light. Here was Josh Jacobs' comments. I wonder why he said that. Like, why would he say that if that wasn't the case? And he might have been covering for his team too. That could have been the case, right? Who knows? So anyway, that was pretty much the gist of that exchange. Okay. So when he said the cop out, of course, now we're in deep, right? Like, and my next tweet here in a second will explain my thoughts on this. Okay. So I said, everything's going to be okay, bud. Like, you're a grown ass man. I'm a grown ass man. You could have literally just shot me a direct message and say, hey, here's why you're wrong. Right. That would have been another way you could handle it. Or you could have just kept it in the comments and said, hey, here's, let's just basically, if he'd have came back and said, yeah, I don't know why he said that. That's definitely not true. It's not accurate. Maybe he's covering for somebody. Okay, cool, man. Thanks for the info, which is how I ended the conversation anyway. Okay, cool. Thanks, bud. Like once you're a smart ass, I'm shutting down, done. Like, you're not wanting to get to the answer. You're not trying to teach anybody anything. You're just wanting to be a smart ass. And the quote tweets confirmed that, because I was a little bit like, man, maybe I'm misreading this. When the quote tweets started firing out, that's when I was like, okay, now we know what's going on. Got it. So I said, everything's going to be okay, bud. And of course, listen, you're going to have a portion of his followers are going to come in and they're just going to slob, right? They're going to slob. And that's a part of Twitter, right? That's why I wanted to do a video, say, hey, here's how the whole thing unfolded. And listen, to 99% of our viewers, they probably don't care. But I had several people. I was actually, matter of fact, there was well over 10 people shoot me DMs, a couple of accounts that were fairly large. It is what it is. Obviously, we're not going to disclose that screenshot with people because they'll get raked over the coals as well. But they're like, hey, you did nothing wrong, man. You were just asking a question. So that made me feel a little bit better. I actually asked my wife last night. I'm like, hey, have an exchange with John Kuhn. She was like, John Kuhn? I was like, yeah. And she got all excited. I'm like, no, don't get excited. He's quote tweeting me or raking me over the coals right now. So it's funny too, because there's literally, if I turn the camera around, there's an autographed John Kuhn jersey on the wall right here. He's making it sound as if I was trying to judge Josh Jacobs. There's a shrine that she bought me last Christmas of Josh Jacobs over here. It's literally a framed jersey, several pictures. It's autographed. It's the sweetest piece of memorabilia I got. Anybody who watches the show regularly knows I'm a huge Josh Jacobs fan. We're always giving Goody credit for that signing, man. What a huge signing. So anyway, this is the whole gist of it too. When you criticize a running back on X, former running backs will come to their defense, right? When you criticize a wide receiver on X, former wide receivers come to their defense. If you criticize a quarterback on X, former quarterbacks come to their defense, right? That's typically how that works. And most of the time, the quarterbacks are putting the blame back on the coach, right? Now, the quarterback didn't do that. That's bad read. And you guys probably know what I'm talking about. There's several of those within the space. So with all that being said, right, the goal of this video is to let people know, all right, here's where I was coming at from my perspective. Once he started being a smart ass, I'm done with the conversation, right? So now this is the thing that I put out today. I woke up this morning, I was like, let me just put out kind of how I feel here, right? This was last night. This was quote tweeting someone else. K Douglas on Twitter said, appeal to authority fallacy. Clayton's post was coherent and logical. I read Kuhn's response multiple times, and I'm still not sure what he's trying to say because he left it kind of vague. It's just 98's a read, 98's a read, 98's a read. That's not what we're talking about. We're trying to figure out what was the original play call. If all he had to say was, yeah, that's an AA read there. That's a true, tight, A-gap mid-zone read is all it is. There's nothing AB on the left there. That would answer the question. I was looking for that answer because I was still a little confused other than Josh Jacobs' comments, right? So he said, Kuhn's response multiple times, and I'm still not sure what he's trying to say. There are a lot of bad actors out there in the podcast space, but Clayton is not one of them. Low blow from Kuhn, sad. That's what it felt like to me, but of course, I'm the one taking the low blow. Who knows if it's a low blow or not, right? I'm going to look at it through a biased lens, obviously. So appreciate them reaching out. Like I said, there were several people that did. And now I think I figured out what happened. Okay. So that exchange I just showed you guys, that happened at 9:00 last night. Okay. So that happened at 9:00. And then someone had sent this to me in a DM and said, hey, Clay, I think he was upset that you didn't respond to his first quote tweet. And I was like, what first quote tweet? Like, what are you talking about? So listen, we're a very, very small account. John Kuhn's got over 80,000 followers, right? I've got like 17,000. We're tiny because I'm a fan. That's what I am. I'm a fan who likes to dive into the tape, right? That's it. I love the X's and O's. I love trying to get to the bottom of, okay, what actually happened? Why did it happen, right? Try not to get into all the arguing and all that stuff. Hopefully you guys have caught on to that. I think that's why people are gravitating toward our channel is because it's like you can come in here and have an opinion and not get roasted for it as long as you're not rude, as long as you're not a smart ass, right? That's the perfect example of somebody being a smart ass. I'm just not gonna do it, man. So this is a quote tweet. Notice the time on this, 7:29. So he sent this about 2 hours before that other exchange. I didn't see it. My account was like going crazy. I mean, when you go to this, it's got like 200,000 views and there's a ton of comments. The large majority of the comments, as you would imagine, are Eagles fans going, oh, this play was dead anyway, blah, blah, right? They're, taking their stance, right? Which we expect opposing fan bases, right? So he said, he quote tweeted this earlier than the exchange we had. And he said, I promise you, it doesn't look like this through the face mask. Also, when hearing the defense, the cutback becomes appealing. Jacobs also admitted to changing his approach after hearing the defense in the end. It was less than ideal call with the game on the line. Is that not what I was saying in our exchange later? That's what's so strange. So I'm thinking he got pissed that I didn't respond to this. I didn't see it. Are you kidding me? You know what my first comment would have been on this? Again, I'm a big Kuhn fan. My first comment would have been like, John, I know you're busy. I know you cover for the Packers. I know you do this and that. Can you give me 5 minutes on the pod? I would love for you to come on and set us straight and explain this. That would have been my approach to this. I hate that I didn't see it. So I'm thinking he's seen this sit and seen me not respond. And then he came back 2 hours later, quote tweeted it and got really aggressive. That's the only thing I can come up with. And maybe you guys see it different in the chat and I'm open ears. Like I said, I screw stuff up all the time. I talk about it on the channel all the time, right? I'm just a fan and I'm not the most intelligent person on the face of the earth. As we point out on the show all the time, the guys in here, there's so many times that the guys go, no, Clayton, no, that comment, they meant this. Because I'm Irish too, right? And I've got a temper like anybody else. So here was my final. I woke up this morning and was like, okay, I slept on it. All right, I'm just going to respond. It's time to respond, right? So here's what I did. I tagged him in a tweet and I said, John Kuhn has forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. I wasn't saying I was right and he was wrong. Not once do you see that in the exchange. I was asking him if it was a mid-AA because that would answer all the questions. I assumed it was an AB left based off of Josh Jacobs' comments after the game that he panicked. Unfortunately, John started being a prick. I don't give a shit if you're a former player, coach, or the president. I ain't going to bow down and let someone insult me because of their status. I'm here to learn ball, but if you demand I take a tweet down because I got it wrong, that's just weird energy. You were a hell of a football player, not my dad. LOL. So that's how I feel. And there's probably a large majority of people on Twitter that disagrees, and that's totally cool, man. Y'all have the right to disagree. Now, when people come at me and say, oh, you're a dweeb, you're a nerd, you're an idiot, that's simple. I actually welcome that response because that identifies the people and their intent on social media to not truly get to an answer in football, to not have a logical conversation about football. They just want to be an internet tough guy. That's easy. Please, if you're hearing my voice and you're one of those people, comment like that so I can just go ahead and slap that block and we can move on about our life. It's that simple. I don't care if I've got 50 followers on X. I didn't create X to go, man, I'm going to have a large account. I created X to connect with other fans so we could find the like-minded people that want to have an educated conversation on what's going on around the Packers. Create a positive approach. We don't hide that. We are glass half full on this show. There's plenty of glass half empties out there. That is not our target audience. Our target audience are good-hearted people that want to have a conversation about football, lift each other up, and even after the tough losses, try to find some positive and enjoy the game of football as opposed to being miserable during football season. That's our goal. So, again, and I was quote tweeting Colton Moore. I want to give Colton Moore a shout out. He says, something tells me Josh Jacobs knows more about his mindset and what the play call was than John Kuhn. And for Kuhn to completely ignore that, what Josh says is wild. That was a little strange to me too. But again, man, he can fan how he wants. Notice I didn't go commenting on John Kuhn's page. He could have broke that play down too. And I was taught that you don't speak unless you're spoken to. I was taught that if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. But man, I don't listen. I'm going to say it again. I don't care who it is. I don't give a rat's ass how many years you played. All that means to me is you know more about the game than me. But if you think you're going to talk down to me because you were a former player or a former coach or this or that, bro, you got the wrong guy. I don't care if we have 0 people following the channel. I'm here to have a logical conversation about something, and that's it. I'm not going to bow down to people because of their status, if that makes sense. So just go to the chat real quick. Let's see if we're getting raked over the coals in here this morning. And again, man, it is what it is. Just go through them one by one here because I don't want to miss one that may disagree with me here, right? Let's see. We got Snake. Good to see you, buddy. He says, good morning. B. Timmy says, let's get John Kuhn on here and talk about it. He's in the wrong. And that's probably not the way to handle it, B. Timmy, is to go, John, you were wrong. Come talk about it, right? And again, I don't know if he's wrong. That's the whole gist of the story here, right? And there's people tweeting at me going, just admit you were wrong. Take the L. What L are you talking about? I asked him about the play. What do we even – and again, all they're seeing is John Kuhn's quote tweet. And again, what is that? It's a bat signal. Hey, everybody, come look at this dumbass. That's what that is, right? So Gilly says, morning, boss man. The Bears still blow. That is a fact, sir. That is a fact. Professor Cakes, what's up, gang? Vacation up in the Smokies in Gatlinburg. Have been out of the Packers news loop this week. Let me tell you, Professor Cakes, you picked a good week to do it. Half the fan base is at each other's throat right now. So Smokies is about hour and a half south of me, man. Beautiful area down there. So you're in our neck of the woods, man. Hopefully they're treating you good down there. There's good people down there in Sevier County and down around Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. So hopefully you guys are having an awesome stay. If anybody gives you a problem, you shoot me a DM, and I'll send my boys down there for sure. And you got some people asking what did Kuhn say. It was obviously early in the show. Holmes MD1. What the hell's going on over here? We got to hit it once, don't we? Let's see if we can find it, man. That's why I need Tim in here at all times. Right here. That's what I thought when the quote tweets started flying, Holmes. I was like, what in the world? Yeah, thank you, buddy. We're getting better, man. I don't know what happened, dude. I'm almost positive it was a Rona, but on the backside of the Rona, all the symptoms cleared up, and it was like a stomach bug. And then this morning, the throat swole. So maybe it is the backside of Rona. I don't know, man. Obviously, they teach us there's 1,700 different strands now. So I don't. Anyway, whatever it is. So people are still asking whatever. All right, here we go. See if J. Cole disagrees. Why be a smartass about it? That makes him look bad. Okay, so Jay's saying he did. See, and again, I've got a bad temper, right? I've got a bad temper. So sometimes I rush to judgment on the wrong side. It's another reason why I want to cut the video, just have a little conversation about it, man. Like, hey, you guys may, hey, Clayton, you misread that, man. You handled that the wrong way. And I could be a man and go, hey, my bad, His DMs aren't open. John's were. The first thing I did was I went to shoot him a DM like, hey, man, here's what I'm seeing. His DMs are closed. My DMs are open. And he started quote tweeting. So it's like, okay, he thinks because he's a football player, you're going to be disrespectful. Hell with that. Can't have it. Can't do it. Sorry. All right, let's see here. Ben Holden says, LOL, you got this, Clayton. Messaging online doesn't show emotion and can be misconstrued. And that's the other thing too, right? Like the statistic says 92% of communication is lost through text message. And that's what Twitter is, right? That's why I don't like to argue and have conversations on there unless it's, hey, we're just trying to get to the bottom of something, right? So he may not have meant to be a smart ass, although everybody I showed it to seemed to think that he was. So let's see here. Chuck Jagger says, grown ass man, this goes out the window sometimes when you put the phone to the face. That's a great point, man. Great point. Reality shift in the house, says Josh is the type of guy to be real and take accountability. Even if it was the team's fault, he would definitely say this team needs to work on executing blocks. He's not afraid to be real. That's a fact. He's a leader. Damn, he's a leader. And that's what I was kind of trying to get at too, was like when Kuhn made that comment that he's just reading 68, just 68, that's the read. It's like, okay, so if it ain't an AB left, my mind immediately went to Josh Jacobs is covering for the team. That would surprise me one bit, right? Reality, because that's the type of guy that Josh Jacobs is, for sure. So Marco, hope I'm saying that right, says John's probably going through some stuff. I still would rather watch the PTA Shield. Appreciate it. I don't know, man. I don't think he is, but hey, listen, he's in the Twitter world all the time too, just like us, man. There's some rude ass people out there, and it's kind of dog eat dog world, you know. Everybody's quick to be rude as opposed to have a conversation. I think some people think I'm being a smart ass sometimes because I just ask a genuine question. I'm not asking a question like you're wrong here, explain yourself. I'm asking a question like I'm an idiot, explain it to me, essentially. So I don't want to put the comments up with y'all if people are being rude. I appreciate the support, but it's not the goal of this video wasn't to rate John Kuhn over the call. It was just for me to, hey, here's where I was coming from. Reef says, man, get John Kuhn on the show. I'd be totally cool with that. Again, I'm not going to beg him to come on the show, right? That was going to be my initial response before he started being a prick, to be honest with you. So, all right. Turt McGirt says you could still extend the invitation. Yeah, I could. I guess I could. The problem with having former players, we've had several former players on the show too, like several. And it's always a fun conversation for me. But when we do those videos, the numbers are always down. And I have people that'll actually comment. The likes go way down too. It seems like it's not a popular thing. And I got to be real. Like when I listen to podcasts, I try to listen to people that I can kind of learn stuff from. You know, like I listen to Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks. I listen to Greg Cosell. I love listening. I know a lot of people don't like Coach Gruden for his background, this and that. I love listening to former head coaches break stuff down. Bruce Arians is good on the McAfee show. All the former players on the McAfee show. Anytime a former player talks, you get a chance to listen. That's what sucks so bad about this Twitter exchange is it was an opportunity to learn something, and it just never went in that direction. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'd rather just keep fans talking in here because when we've had people on, it's not, like I said, not gotten a whole lot of views. I would be open to it though. If he reached out and said, hey, I'll come on the pod. Yeah, let's do it, man. Absolutely. But again, he can watch this video too and see, okay, yeah, here's what's going on. Marco says, Clayton, do a collab with Jay Reed. He's pretty active on YouTube. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're talking about Jaden Reed, I imagine you are. Yeah, dude, I like Jaden Reed, man. I mean, you see the jersey, it's covered up by the tree back there right now. But I got a Jaden Reed jersey too. Jaden Reed is one of my favorite players. He plays the game the right way. Seems like a positive dude. He's always going to bat for his team. I love the fact that when he had his surgery, the first thing he says coming out of surgery is, we're going to the bowl. That's all that was on his mind. You know, when people are drunk, you typically get the real deal. You know what I'm saying? I say the real deal. They'll be brutally honest when they're coming out of a surgery under the gas. They typically say what's on their mind, and the fact that the first thing on his mind was a Super Bowl is absolutely awesome, man. CJN says, you all good to us, Clay. Thank you, CJN. Appreciate you, buddy. J. Cole says, we're all learning. It's a damn shame how some of these players act. It was weird. Emilio, no one can be mad, dog. Oh gosh, no. You wonder where I get it from, right? Emilio, get back to work, by the way, dude. You're supposed to be working. Reef says, I felt that Jacob and the lineman wasn't on the same page because of the D tackle play. It was weird, right? Because Zach Tom, it almost looked like a duo setting up, right? You had two doubles. Now, probably get in trouble for this too, but Aaron Banks kind of loses his footing and falls down, right? Zach Tom gives a little shove on that duo on the double team. I don't even know if you call it a double team. That's why it might not have been a duo, but he gives a little push to Jalen Carter and then comes up field. And when you see that, it makes you think, maybe it was a counter play. Like that was when John Kuhn said that. I'm like, maybe this is a counter run and I missed that the whole time. But who knows, right? And that's the other thing. Nobody truly knows unless they're in the room, right? Now, John Kuhn's in the building. He can go down there and ask them. He can shoot somebody a text. Go, hey, what was the call, right? Not that he needs to. Probably don't even care. He's probably moved on. That's totally cool. Chuck Jagger says, hey, whoever gifted the month membership, we thank you. That was Bates, man. Bates is a hero in here, no doubt about it, dude. Turk McGirt, I'm rock, half smoke. Don't know what that means. Probably something bad I shouldn't put on the screen. Let's get it off there. We got super chat, Fishy Things. Thank you, buddy. Best Packer channel on YouTube. Hey, thank you for the kind words, Fishy Things. Appreciate you, man. We're not the most educated channel, but again, we just try to keep it positive and talk some ball, man. That's what we do here. So paging, and thank you for the super chat, Fishy. I appreciate that. Don't know, man. Paging Dr. Crutch. Whoa. I think he's saying, woo, happy Friday, brother. Appreciate your kind words about Jameis's faith earlier this week. And Jameis Winston's a cool player, man. I'll tell you what I want to see when Jameis finally hangs it up. I want to hear him in the booth. He's talking about entertaining. Maybe he would be better on the field, right? Jameis Winston. Imagine him doing like a Tony Saragusa type role on the field. That would be really cool. You know what I mean? Just kind of walking around the field, interviewing players, just hanging out in the ends. I used to love that on Fox when they had Tony Saragusa down there. If you guys don't know who Tony Saragusa is, maybe younger crowd, just YouTube Tony Saragusa, Fox NFL. Man, he was so entertaining. It was so much fun seeing him on the sideline. Coach Lynn, go Pack. Here's one of our coaches, right, that hangs out in the chat. Coach Lynn got a lot of coaching experience. I love, and Coach will attest to this. We're not on here going, this is it, this is it. We're constantly asking Coach in the chat. We're breaking down, hey, Coach, you see that the same way? That's the type of channel that we try to do. So let's see here. J. Cole, idolatry at its finest on X. Quote, admit you took an L. What the hell does that mean? And again, it's them trying to listen. These people, they've got small accounts, and they're engaging with former Packer players. They get excited about that. You know, it's like, oh, I got a chance to side with this guy. I get a chance. I wasn't even trying to create a side. I'm just trying to get a damn answer. So it is what it is. Robert Malone says, you are now my favorite podcast. I don't know much, but I know you're a good person. Thanks for entertaining us every day. Thank you for the kind words, Robert. I got a long way to go in that regard, man. I fall short of that every day. Thank God for the grace of Jesus is all I got to say. Boy, oh boy, I screw that one up every day. It's funny. I don't know what people pray about when they pray. If you're not a religious person, it's totally cool. I'm not a religious person. I'm just a Christian. If that makes sense. People go, what does that mean? Do your own research. I'm not a big church person. I'm not a big go to a huge mega church, throw money in the pot. I'd rather save up the tithe and give it to somebody who needs it and try to be a little closer to Jesus in terms of how he acted. And I'm telling you, Robert, I lay down every night and I go, boy, I screwed it up today. Probably screwed this Twitter exchange up, to be honest with you. So let's see. Tatchison says some people just like to argue and make it personal when you don't. My wife would probably disagree with you there. I do try to just kind of keep it for, especially on social media. Let's just get an answer, right? Let's try to figure out what happened. So, yeah. Emilio says, Professor Cakes, you need to swing through. You're just 30 minutes away. Yeah, Emilio's actually really close to the Smokies down there where you're at, man. So go over there and swing through and harass him for a little bit. Fishy Things, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm on Clay's side. Absolutely hilarious. Reef says, Mr. C, you're overthinking it. All right, appreciate it, buddy. I'd rather overthink it than underthink it. I don't ever want to come across like I got it figured out. You know what I mean? That's for sure. J. Cole says, I got a similar temper. Having children and wife keeps me calm. Let's see here. Ken James says 6-3-1. We need the Lions of Bears to lose. We move from 7 seed to higher seed. Amen to that. I was actually going to do a show this morning on that. I was going to kind of walk around the NFL schedule with you guys and highlight, okay, here are the games we really need to focus on this week and what does it mean? If everything, and we don't know if it will, if everything went the Packers' way and they were able to beat the Giants up there in New Jersey, I think the Packers jump right back up to first place, meaning if Minnesota beats Chicago and Philly beats Detroit and we beat New York, I think we're back in first place in the North. And boy, oh boy, the Matt LaFleur haters they'll go quiet for another week and then they'll come back and it'll be right back to square one, right? Thanks for dropping in, Ken. Appreciate you, man. Jose, I think I'm saying that right. Jose in the chat says, I'm happy that you set the record straight. I agree that everyone can have an opinion and still be civil. Keep being you and doing the great job of researching all things Packers. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate the kind words, man. Donovan Schilling, is it okay that I'm on both sides? I think Kuhn went about it wrong, but I think he may be right. I think if you guys were to DM each other, this would be settled easily. Oh, it absolutely would. But again, man, the quote tweet, I don't think that's what he was looking for. It was just he was ready. He had that goal. He set that goal down a little bit, came in and dunk the basketball. I think that was the overall goal there. But yeah, no, that's kind of he got me thinking in that exchange early on, Donovan. That's why I was asking those other questions. Like, okay, all I was looking for was now if I can make light of Josh Jacobs's comments, what did he mean? Was he just covering for the team? All right, cool. We'll steer it back. Going to quote tweet it out and say, hey, we got this wrong. John Kuhn says it's this, right? It just never got to that point, obviously. So Schilling says, love you both. Yeah. Again, I was following Kuhn. I was a big fan. It just sucks. Like I put a quote tweet out and said, man, don't meet your heroes, right? Adam Block says, so we still not know what the play call was? We're right back to square one. Now, Kuhn made it very, very, very clear. John Kuhn thinks it was just an AA read, 98's the read. And that's what I was asking him. I don't know if he didn't understand what I meant by AA read. Like with a zone read, it's not just, okay, we're running A gap here or we're running B gap there, right? With zone, the line is typically moving in one direction. In this case, you can see everybody move to the left. The offense is left. That's why I thought it's inside zone left. So if it's inside zone left, it's A to B left. I told him in the tweet. So I assume it was AB left. You're saying it was an AA read, meaning no, B's off the table. It's real simple. You're going A left or A right. And I think that's what he's saying. You read 98, the hat leaned into the right from the defensive perspective. Therefore, Jacobs cut in the opposite direction. So, and in that case, if that was the case, yeah, the tweet was wrong. Like I said, we just never got to that point. So, CJN says, when is John's next podcast? We'll be interested to see if he addressed this. Yeah, I don't even, and he's with Matt Schneidman now, right? I haven't listened to that. I haven't got a chance to listen to that. I'm not, again, when you're creating Packers content, man, it's you can burn yourself out. I always heard people say, I'm like, whatever, man, whatever. But you can kind of burn yourself out listening to Packers all day and then talking Packers all day. But I haven't heard it yet. I'm sure it's good though, because John Kuhn, very knowledgeable football player, obviously. So I can't imagine he would address it. If he does, you guys let me know. Yeah, I can't imagine he would take the time. I know if I was a person of his status, I wouldn't take the time. So paging Dr. Crutch. Arian's Quarterback Whisperer book is incredible. Highly recommend. That's one I have not read. I need to get an audio book for sure. Because Bruce Arians, I haven't been like a huge fan of him. To me, he comes across like he tries to be overly cool as opposed to coach. But damn, he's coached some really good quarterbacks, and he's a Super Bowl winning coach. I need to check that out for sure. I'm sure there's some nice nuggets in there, Crutch, of him just kind of talking about, what it takes to coach up great quarterbacks. Obviously, didn't he had ties to Peyton Manning too, I believe, right? Peyton Manning, I believe. And then there was also ties to who was the other Colts quarterback at the time out of Stanford. Can't believe I can't think of his name. Somebody will let me know in the chat. But great quarterback that retired really, really early. Extremely smart human being. Went on to do have another career doing something else. Coach Lynn says, "Yep, you're good, Clay. We are literally trying to understand the game." Amen, man. That's the goal, right? Let's see. Chuck Jaggers, we're not right. We're not left. We are green and gold, baby. That's right, sir. That's right. Let's see here. Yasmin on Rumble says, "I hope Jameis throws a lot of INTs on him." Me too, man. It's either going to be a lot of INTs or a lot of touchdowns. Nothing in between, right? That's probably going to be the case there. Number one Packer fan, thanks for the explanation. Now it's time for all Packer social media folks to move forward because we're playing a different team on Sunday. LOL, man, it got wild out there. I probably blocked more people this week than I have in a long time. And it's not like they said anything personally to me. When people take like personal shots at folks, players, coaches, that stuff bothers me bad, man. Like it just, I don't know. And again, it's not I'm not going to comment on them and say, "Oh, I disagree." It's just like, okay, I don't want that on my timeline. Let's just move along, right? It's kind of how that works. Let's see here. Sick MZ says, "Where did you get your baseline of knowledge, coaching, books, videos? Curious because I want to get more in depth." I always tell people, I don't know if I got my copy here. I don't. The first book I would start with is called "Take Your Eye Off the Ball." Take Your Eye Off the Ball. It's by Pat Kirwan. Pat Kirwan used to be a former NFL executive, spent a long time in the game. He was with the Jets for a while too. And he basically, you see these football for dummies books, right? And I've never read one of those because those for dummies books, it was so watered down. I'm like, okay, I'm going to waste the first half of this book with stuff I probably already know. Take your eye off the ball. If you have a general football knowledge already, take your eye off the ball is excellent. And then go from take your eye off the ball to Bill Walsh's book. There's actually a couple Bill Walsh books. Any books on Bill Walsh is really good. Bill Walsh was such a offensive genius. He was so good at just he was a leader of men, but he was always known as kind of this tactician throughout his career, but he was honestly more the leader of men and knew how to. He's almost like a psychologist, I guess is the right way of saying it. But any of his books, I would say go from Take Your Eye Off the Ball to Bill Walsh's really, really thick book that many people don't know this, but Brian Billick, who won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, he was actually I think the PR director for Bill Walsh. And he actually helped him put together a book. I think it's called the Football Bible or something crazy. It's really thick. That's a good one if you want to dive deep. But also Michael Lombardi wrote Gridiron Genius, which is a really good book too, because he kind of gives his perspective with the Patriots dynasty. He also gives you his perspective where he studied under Bill Walsh. So if you go take your eye off the ball, you get a general football knowledge, right? And then you jump from that into anything Bill Walsh, you'll see, whoa, one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game. And then you jump into Michael Lombardi's Gridiron Genius. He gives you the perspective of a slappy, right, within Bill Walsh's organization and coming up through the ranks of him and Al Davis and some of these older guys, and then stepping right into Bill Belichick's dynasty and his coaching experience there, or his front office experience there. Those are the three books I would go with. Is Take Your Eye Off the Ball first, Football Bible. You may not finish the Football Bible, just start it, and then get into Gridiron Genius. That way you get a good understanding of Bill Walsh. And I know Packer fans, it's easy to hate Bill Walsh because of what the 49ers did in the 90s. They were dominant, right? But yeah, that's the books I would go with, man, for sure. Fishy things. All we got to do is run the table. We have the talent. Is if the offense can get on a hot streak, sky's the limit. Man, the defense is solid right now. Offense is shaky. I think this week it's kind of a blessing, right? You got an opportunity against a lesser opponent. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but if you can get that win this week and get a little bit healthier next week, avoid injury this week, maybe you can go on a run, man. That's the goal, right? Jaggers, Clay Auchia, what that means, making former Green Bay Packers see him and love it. More interactions with ex-players is welcome. That was the other thing, too, was like, man, having a former player, interact with you on X kind of cool. Not for that reason, obviously. Damn, that's ugly. That got ugly quick. It's like the Will Ferrell gif, right? Boy, that escalated quickly, and it really did. Emilio, still no RPO talk about that play. Yeah, it's funny, right? That got shoved to the side. Emilio was like, there was a damn RPO attached on the backside. Nobody cares, Emilio. Nobody cares. All right. I wonder if that, now that you mentioned that, Emilio, I wonder if the RPO aspect plays a role in where that play has to run to, but I don't know. That's hilarious though, man. He said, I'm probably looking at it wrong. Now, I mean, you were right. The bubble was there. It wasn't open, but you're right. There was a bubble attached there. So it probably, I imagine, Emilio, what they're doing is they're coming out there and they're going to call the RPO. So the foundation is there. If we come to the line and they're just loading the box, Jordan just give a quick check and fire that thing out there. I could see it being that being the case, right? So, all right. Chuck Jaggers, Big E. I'm running mesh in that situation all day, twice on Sunday. Not saying run was the wrong decision. He loves the mesh play. Love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. Fishy things. John Kuhn up the gut for 2 to 3 yards every time. He never touched the ball. Appreciate those tutters, buddy. But he never showed any complicated depth of play knowledge when he played. Still, though, man, when you play fullback in Mike McCarthy's offense, you've got to know what everybody's doing. Because at any point, you can be flexed out. He was one of the best. John Kuhn was one of the best pass protectors I've seen at the fullback position. And ever since I've been watching football since the early 90s. I always think of John Kuhn's play is, remember when Julius Peppers came off the edge and he just annihilated him, dove at the hip, took him out. Rodgers rolled left against the Bears, popped it over the top and hit Randall Cobb. So I would disagree with that a little bit, Fishy. But yeah, it was fun him getting the football too, man. He's fan favorite, no doubt. One of my favorite players, sure. So there we go. Coach Lynn. He's the athletic director at Stanford now also. Why can't I think of his name, guys? Andrew Luck. Okay, there. Sorry about that. Jared got it. Yeah, Andrew Luck. Yeah, so he he stepped away from football. I think they said he was like some kind of engineer or something, right? Like extremely smart. I'm done with football. Stepped away, and then he went back to his alma mater to be the athletic director. So yeah, good stuff. I forgot about that. Yeah, not Kuhn. Fishy things asking if it was Kuhn or not. All right, so we got to get ready to wrap this up. I got to get over here and start dragging more Christmas decorations out. So it's going to be an interesting day. I'm going to go shotgun some Dayquil and start dragging trees out over here, boys. So appreciate everybody jumping in here. Again, the point of this video was to rate John Kuhn. It was just hey, here's how I seen everything unfold. This is why I reacted the way I reacted. I'm not looking for an apology from John. He's not going to get an apology from me. It ain't a huge deal. We'll just move on. If he keeps quote tweeting me, I'll finally just block it, because obviously I don't want my feed blowing up with him just constantly quote tweeting. But yeah, if he wants to come on the show, he can come on the show. I don't see why he would want to. But everything I said here, I'd say to his face. That's what we try to do on this show too, And again, man, the point there is, I hate that it happened with a player that you respect so much and gave us so many great memories. But man, I just can't let people talk down to me. I can't do that. Can't do it. Whether it's social media or in real life or anything. Man. If this conversation happened in real life, it probably would have come to blows and I'd be in the hospital. Because I'm not going to let another grown-ass man talk down to me. Now, Clayton, what are you seeing here, Clayton? Can't do that shit. So anyway, that's it, guys. Appreciate everybody. I don't know if we'll put this out in podcast form. I guess we could, but I don't think anybody wants to hear all this drama. I just want to make a video. That way it's out there. He can watch it if he wants. It's there. Cool. If not, no big deal. But we'll keep on trucking. We'll be back tonight, 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live. We'll start to dive into the Giants game plan a little bit. Not the game plan, but just kind of look at, okay, who are some of their key players? What's the point spread? All that good stuff. We'll just kind of get the stage set for the game against the Giants. And also, we'll do what I originally planned on doing before this drama broke loose. We'll actually go and we'll dive into this coming week. It's week 11. I keep calling it week 10, but it's actually week 11. Week 11 slate, kind of give you some of the important games. Maybe we'll have some weather games in there too. That's the first thing I'll look for. Outside of the NFC North games, I immediately look, where's the cold weather football being played this week? Maybe we get a little snow flying out there. So, all right, guys, that's it. Appreciate everybody. Y'all have a wonderful day. Hit that like button for us. Hit subscribe. Click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. We'll see y'all tonight. And, yeah, we'll see you on the trail in between. Emilio, get back to work, dude. Absolutely pathetic.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.